Hello, hello. Before we begin, I kindly request everyone to switch your mobile devices to silent mode to ensure the smooth flow of our program. I also encourage you to remain with us until the end of the event, where you will have the opportunity to scan a QR code for attendance and to receive an e-certificate of participation. Hello.
Testing, 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 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, 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 testing. Okey, sila masuk, sila masuk. Sila penuhi kerusi di depan dulu ya. Penuhi kerusi di depan dulu ya. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Mak.
Tapi dia delay 30 sen. Mana kad dia? Ada bateri hati.
Lagi.
Ya, ya.
Mati belakang.
Mati belakang. Okay, dia belum sampai di yang sekarang. Masuk juga ni. Kau daripada mic kamera.
Sound ke kamera?
Oh. Tu suara aku dah. Bukan daripada sini ni. Oh, ni dia kena rapat ke?
You receive sound itu. Jadi redundant.
Masuk juga. Kau daripada mic kamera.
Sound ke kamera?
Suara aku ni masuk daripada mana? Ni?
Tak ada rumah aku ni.
Daripada sini. Oh, ni dia kena rapat ke? Oh.
Tak hello kat di sini. Aku tak tahu.
Mak. 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 Cuma halo technician maring, mak hilang guana ayat zoom di screen.
Dia nak main juga.
Bawa.
Dia tu.
Tiket ke apa? Ha?
Jangan pakai askape. Aku pakai lah askape tadi.
Full dah masuk?
Aku hidup ah.
Ada ogok ni. Dia
Passing.
sing. Kepala hilang agak tu.
Yo ni.
Dia kena jaga zoom. Itu yang zoom out tu. Okay, zoom.
Salah. Diorang bawah saya.
Belum cuma ada zoom. Lagi buat zumba tu.
Ayah.
Hello? Hello? Tes. Tes dengar.
Setakat ni lah masih gitu ya setakat.
Dia buka. Zumba. Ini Zumba ni. Ada lagi jalan.
Yes, sir. Apa ni dia?
Ada je buat dengan jadi per 11 tengok ya sampai bersyukur sampai tekan awal tu biasa lagi nak di kampung ramai macam apa kapal berhenti bagus. Korang faham kan? Ada slide. Okey. Gila tu program 2 minggu.
Tiba-tiba.
Tiba-tiba. Mati pada
Okey.
Masa tak berapa je. So kita supposed to be akan start pada pukul 9 suku. Okay. So nanti penda akan naik.
Kena jumpa. Oh, kena jumpa kena naik lah.
After Friday final. So I will invite all the panels.
Okay, habis. Malu.
The panel to this stage lah.
Dari stage dah. Okay.
Mana tak nafas? Tuan suku.
Originally from Korea. But you've been in Malaysia for a while. You can speak English. In Singapore, I did a lot of oily you should notice because we have center for oceanography specifically for the when I got about them, I'm very excited. It's like my cup of coffee. Yeah. We should on the combine to that. Internationally from like plastic and then the quality. So you are more on regulatory
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and greetings to all. Yang Berusaha, Professor Teknologis Dr. Muhammad Fazil bin Muhammad Akhir, Director of Institute of Oceanography and Environment, Dr. Muhammad Safwan Chedin, the Chairperson of today's program, distinguished invited panelists, our esteemed moderator for today's discussion, and esteemed guests both in person and joining us online, especially from Universiti Malaysia Terengganu and Universiti Sultan Zainal Abidin. A very warm welcome and sincere thanks for your presence on this significant occasion. I, Nur Kamarina, am truly honored to serve as the MC for today's event, which is held as part of the National Climate Governance Summit 2024. For everyone's information, today's event is a side program officially known as the NCGS 2024 Satellite Event, featuring a panel discussion titled Addressing the Challenge of Coastal Communities in Facing Climate Change, presented by our esteemed panelists. Before we begin, I kindly request everyone to switch your mobile devices to silent mode to ensure the smooth flow of the program. I also encourage you to remain with us until the end of the event, where you will have the opportunity to scan a QR code for attendance and to receive an e-certificate of participation. Thank you for your cooperation. Now, with great respect, I would like to invite Professor Teknologis Dr. Muhammad Fazil bin Muhammad Akhir to deliver his opening remarks. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wasallam. Thank you, Miss MC, for the introduction. Of course, I would like to congratulate our team from INOS, especially Dr. Safwan, who's managed to support the effort by Alam. Alam is a organization that is a foundation under, I think, Bank Pembangunan, if I'm not mistaken, whose, I think yesterday they have quite a lengthy and long list of panelists that provide you with new insight on climate change issues for Malaysia. So we basically JV with them, and then we commit to have one special forum today. But I want to share with you, talking about climate change. I think almost 20 years ago, when I first came to Terengganu, I didn't know that how beautiful the beach in Terengganu is or was. And it was one of the, I guess, one of the best decisions in my life, deciding to stay in Terengganu with a nice beach, so you can take your kids every weekend or, any other day to the beach. But less that I knew, year by year, the beach become less and less attractive because there's lots of issues and problems with the beach. And I think it's unfortunate that we see it in our lifetime. I think in the duration of 10, 15 years, I think we lost almost 100 meters of beach. In UMT alone, going a bit north to Mengabang Teliput. If you're familiar with the area, if you're not, take your time, ambil masa sikit, pergi jalan-jalan sikit ke atas area Port Nong tu, so you can see how bad the beach erosions. Dulu dekat kawasan Port Nong tu, ada padang bola lagi bawah tu. Padang bola, lepas tu berjalan pula lagi, ada satu berm, turun baru jumpa pantai. I mean, that's how beautiful it is, kawasan kita. Dan saya ingat, I met with one of the villagers. I think there's 3 things that I realized, wow, we never thought about it, but people who live in the beach area, that's what they face. So one, they said that, of course, the beach change every year. Ini kalau siapa tanya Dr. Effie yang tim yang buat beach erosion, it's a normal process. So every year there's a erosion and accretion. So there's time where you get more sediment, and then during the storm season or tengkujuh season you get less sediment. And local peoples, they know these things. It happens naturally. But once we face climate change and of course some anthropogenic developments, so this kind of changes doesn't repeat naturally anymore. So pantai-pantai yang dulu cantik je, dia bertukar dari musim ke musim, now dia stagnan dan juga dia hilang begitu saja. So that's one thing. Yang kedua, you tanya je lah nelayan dekat tepi pantai, apa isu besar dia orang? Masalah ikan. So ikan makin kurang, ikan makin sikit, ikan dah tak banyak. So dan of course untuk kita ikan makin mahal lah. But that's one of the big issues. Dan yang ketiga, I think this is also important for us to realize, because I think climate change also happens to increase extreme events or storm events. Maksudnya cuaca buruk ni makin kerap dan makin unpredictable, sukar untuk diramal. So ini 3 benda yang mungkin kita duduk kat kawasan dalam ni tak perasan sangat. Kita rasa, oh, semalam ribut. Tapi untuk orang duduk kawasan pantai, bumbung terangkat, kan, rumah boleh roboh tepi pantai. So banyak infrastruktur yang affected by this kind of event. So all of this 3 komponen ni yang saya ambil secara ringkas is one of the biggest impact faced by local communities, or kita kata villages dekat sekitar Kuala Terengganu. Just imagine, that's how it's impacting a very small community. What do you think climate change is doing to the bigger perspective? Untuk kita di Malaysia, untuk kita di negeri Terengganu, atau untuk bandar-bandar besar. So it put a lots of stress towards basically our country. And not only our country, think about other country as well, all over the world. Ada satu negara dalam dunia ni tenggelam dah. Negara tu kena pindah. You all dah dengar cerita? Ada satu pulau dekat Pasifik nama Tuvalu. So they face sea level rise so rapid that almost, I think, more 100,000 of dia punya penduduk kena pindah dan diterima oleh Australia and New Zealand. So just imagine, you lost your country. We're talking about, of course, Palestine, kan? Palestine, Israel, ambil tanah. But now it happens because of climate change. Hilang negara. Okay, so I mean this is the kind of saya saja put some dramatic punya story supaya kita realize how bad climate change is. Maybe I just give you some perspective untuk INOS. INOS has been working with under long-term research grant, bawah grant antara grant terbesar daripada KPT. Bermula tahun 2020 itu kita ada satu grant dipanggil Ocean Climate Change Long-Term Research Grant LRJS, and it's finishing soon. We found lots of new interesting outputs from our research. I just give you one example. I have my PhD students over here, Winfred, working with me for the past 3 years, looking into ocean modeling. And based on the projection, we will face increase of ocean temperature more than 1 degree in the next 50 years. Now we have faced not yet 1 degree, but just imagine how bad the situation is. Baru ni awal minggu itu ada typhoon, very bad typhoon happens in North Vietnam, and one of the reason typhoon happens more frequently is because ocean is become warmer and warmer. In Malaysia, I just talked to I just met Prof from UNIZA, coral bleaching. I think coral bleaching is happened quite bad now. Not many people know, but I've been working with Prof Zainuddin, one of our experts in coral bleaching. The condition of coral bleaching is one of the worst that we have ever seen. So we are still collecting lots of data, so we are not sure what's going to happen next, but it happens because of the temperature of the ocean is increasing. So it will increase, definitely, but how much? Based on our projection, it will increase more than 1 degree in the next 50 years, which is, it will be very, very bad if the same things that we are facing now happens along the way based on the projection that we have. So there's lots of concerning issues. I hope that's why we gather some of our experts over here from various field and various expertise, so that we can see and get some important input, so that we can widen our worldview on the issues related to climate change, especially what we can do as a human being, as an individual, and what we can do as a community to face this issue, and how we can help others as well to provide awareness on our responsibility towards our environment and towards our world. All right, so thank you very much for joining us today. I hope that you'll get a very fruitful information from this event. Again, I would like to thank you for all the participants, and also for the organizer for organizing this panel and forum. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Fazil, for the meaningful opening remarks. Now, I would like to invite everyone to the stage for photography session. On the stage.
Kita bawa ni.
Please, all the audience, gather at the center. Dimohon semua untuk turun ke bawah sedikit. Penuhkan di bahagian bawah.
Okay, ready? Coba. Ready? 1, 2, 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Last, freestyle ada? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, baik. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your cooperation. Now, I would like to invite all panelists and moderator on the stage. Please welcome.
Saya duduk akhir sekali kan. I'm the last one. Kasih ini kita.
Okay. Test. Okay. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to this panel discussion today, which is addressing challenges of coastal communities in facing climate change. My name is Nur Fatin Hamzah, and I'll be moderating today's session. So actually, like what's been mentioned by the MC just now, we are broadcasting live here from INOS Auditorium at Universiti Malaysia. And for the online audience, we have physical in-person audience today here. We have students, lecturers who I believe are also from UMT and also UNIZA. So thank you so much for being here. And I would like to also welcome those who are tuning in online through YouTube. So this event, sorry for that. So this event is part of the National Climate Governance Summit 2024, which is actually happening now, and it has started yesterday actually, September 10th until this Thursday, September 12th at Sasana Kijang, Bangnegara. So while that summit is ongoing, we are now having our side program, or like a satellite event, what they call. So we're excited to host this satellite event today, having this important conversation focusing on coastal communities, given that kita punya lokasi pun dekat East Coast. So this is like a very, very great and timely big topic that we'd like to discuss today on how climate change is impacting the coastal communities. So this satellite event is a collaboration between Institute Oceanography dan Sekitaran, INOS UMT, as well as Amanah Lestari Alam. So, before we begin with the presentations, I like to get everyone involved. So boleh kita buka Mentimeter. Right. Okay. Boleh boleh keluarkan phone tak? Okay. So boleh buka phone. Pergi dekat browser, any browser, Safari ke, Google Chrome ke, menti.com. Lepas tu masukkan kod 26337868. Menti, menti.com. Pendek je, menti.com. Kat atas tu. So vibe check dah boleh jawab. Korang yang mana satu? On a rubber duck 1 to 9 scale, how are you feeling today, this morning? Ada yang 9. Okey, 9 Yang lain? Okey, 2. Kurang dah yang 9. Bagus. The pictures there. The rubber. Okay. I love that a lot of people are 2, tapi banyak juga yang 9 ni. Kenapa Okay, dah semakin balance. Yang 5 ni kenapa? Okay. Probably masih pagi sangat. So ramai yang 9 lah sekarang. Okay, that's fine. So thank you so much. Next question please. So, just now again vibe check before we start, because like Prof Fazil mentioned, this is like a heavy topic, right? So I think dah lah pagi heavy topic pula tu. Depressing juga I feel to talk about this kind of issues particularly. So what's the first word that comes to your mind when you hear the term climate change? Perubahan iklim. Anything. Kelakar ke, boleh tulis juga kat situ. Panas, okay. Lagi? Beach, ocean. Okay. Mungkin sebab lokasi kita. The end of the day. Okay. Ice cap melting, loss of habitat, sea level rise. Benda yang kita banyak dengar juga. Weather, frequent storm, banjir, polar bear dying. That's like in our textbook, right? Polar bear dying. Which is funny sebab kita tak tahu kenapa kita belajar tentang polar bear while we're actually in Malaysia and we should be focusing more on like local issues, right? Right. Okay. Tornado. Okay. Temperature. Keep it coming. Malaysia very hot. Okay. Beach erosions. Right. Keep it coming. Okay. I think that's stable now. So I think this is a great vibe check-in as well for our speakers here to actually see what's the level of understanding when it comes to climate change in general. So thank you for your participation. We can go to the next one. So given that kita semua kat sini harapnya muda-muda semuanya, so tengoklah macam mana krisis iklim atau perubahan iklim ni boleh impact kita punya future. Korang rasa macam mana? Do you think climate change will significantly impact your future? Yes? Tak? I don't think so. Ataupun entahlah, tak tahulah. Apalah aku kat sini? Macam mana? Yang mana satu? Okay. Right. Okay, so that's great. Majority of us here in this room mungkin ada kefahaman tentang perubahan iklim dan faham perubahan iklim mungkin akan impact lah kita punya masa depan nanti. Okay? Tapi ada 10 orang tak tahu, which is okay. That's why you are here today. So we can dive more into this topic. Okay. So, as a start, I think it'd be really great to have like a more of an introduction, because tadi tengok ada 10 orang yang mungkin kurang faham lagi, which is okay. So we will start this conversation today with a little bit of introduction on climate change as a general. So before we start, I'd like to introduce our very first speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Fatin Izzati Minhad, who will be giving this 15-minute session on introduction to climate change. So a little bit of intro. Associate Professor Dr. Fatin Izzati Minhat is a lecturer and researcher at the Faculty of Science and Marine Environment, where she has been making impactful contributions since 2017. With 6 years of dedicated academic service, she has published 12 peer-reviewed research papers in micropaleontology and secured 9 research grants. Her expertise has garnered international recognition, including keynote speaking engagements at 2 international conferences and active participation in 9 others. And she also has supervised 9 postgraduate students and played a significant role in educational programs related to fossil education. Yeah, right. So, today Dr. Fatin will give us a little bit of introduction to climate change. So let's welcome Dr. Fatin.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Fatin. So there's 2 Fatin here today. So thank you so much, Fatin, for the introduction. Assalamualaikum. Selamat pagi. Ramai yang tenggelam tadi. Alright, welcome to UMT. For those of you from UNIZA, welcome. Some of you also from UMT to the forum today. So basically, my job today is to let you know or to introduce what is climate change. So on my first thought is that I'm going to talk to marine science students, but I know I understand that most of you are with a law background. So it's a bit of a challenge for me because I need to make it, how do you say, make it simple so that all of you can understand. All right? Okay. So just now when we did our Mentimeter, a lot of you, some of the words that you use for climate change or words that you associate with climate change is hot and sea level change or sea level rise, and then something about weather. Okay, so before we go into like climate change, let us understand what is climate. Is climate similar to weather? What do you think? Are we having like monsoon climate or are we having a monsoon weather, rainy weather or monsoon weather? Which one? So let me just make it clear, a simple introduction on this. Climate is actually something that change in a long time scale. All right? So you have weather system, all right? Weather that created climate. For example, climate can be hot tropical climate, cold climate. The polar bear that died just now, it was in the cold climate, right? So you have, in here we have humid tropical climate. So climate is actually a bigger form in a bigger region, all right? And it usually change in a long time. I mean, it usually is the same through a long time, but it changes through geological period. Now I'm going to talk about, okay, so I graduated as a biologist, but then I turned to geology. So now I'm going to share with you a little bit on how climate has changed on planet Earth. So planet Earth is actually quite old to us. Planet Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Not million, it's billion. But if you look in the space, or you look at the planetary history, our planet is actually quite young. And throughout 4.6 billion years, many times we have seen climate change. And this change is not small change. It has been very extreme changes. But bear in mind, throughout the 4.6 billion years, these changes occur naturally. It does not occur due to human impact. So when it occurs naturally, the rate of these changes is usually, quite slow, even though it changed, right? Okay, so anyone has watched the Ice Age movie? All right, so it's actually based on what Ice Age might look like 25,000 years ago. So we have a lot of different Ice Age going on throughout the 4.6 billion years timeline, but the last Ice Age occurred around 25,000 years ago. And that is the coldest Ice Age of all, where if you see mammoth in that movie, a big mammoth, you see them crossing some of the iceberg. So during that time, anyone that is in Europe, Northern Europe, you can cross to the northern of America. Why? Because the sea was actually ice once upon a time up north. You don't have sea up north, you have all iced. But once the climate started to warm again, you lose all this ice and the migration stopped. So climate change does affect biodiversity, does affect animal, but in a slower rate. So when you say hot, when you associate climate change with hot, I think you are focusing on global warming rather than climate change. Do know that in some places, instead of getting hot weather, that particular area is getting very cold. Too cold actually, extreme cold. Alright? For example, tadi Prof. Fazil kata we had a very strong typhoon that affected Vietnam recently, affected China. So this typhoon Yagi, do you know what is the speed of this typhoon? 250 kilometers per hour. It's ripping through this country. You can see all of those trees and coastal area very much affected by this typhoon. So what does climate change have to do with typhoon? What does climate change has to do with our coastal area? So you see, just now I talked about weather. So when you have weather patterns that change due to the increase of ocean temperature, it messes up with other system. So this weather system, it will affect all of the climate in that area. And this is like a change reaction. When you change one thing, it will affect another thing. So now we are looking at climate change because of the warming of the ocean. We are looking at a very strong typhoon, a very extreme cold weather. You see lots of bushfire everywhere, like forest fire dekat California. If you are aware, every year now, killing or burning very huge area. So those are climate change. So when it occurs naturally, we are not afraid. But when it occurs due to human factor, what we are looking right now, and what the data is telling us, it is actually unprecedented. It actually is very extreme. The change is very extreme. Okay, so let us look at the final, I think, another slide. Okay, I wanted to tell you about this. I guess I'm trying to associate climate change with human. So if you look at this graph, the bottom is actually the age. So you have like 100,000 years ago, and 0 is the modern human. All right, so what happened is that this is the temperature graph. You see, during Ice Age, around 20,000 years ago, it was quite low. So that is the Ice Age. So after we start agriculture, after we start Industrial Revolution, the climate has stayed the same, and it actually has warmed quite a lot. So previously, this is the average changes of temperature around the Earth. So the first migration of human occurred around 80,000 years ago, And during this time, you have a very nice weather, quite chill, not very hot in the tropic, okay? But then as we go through the timeline, you can see the climate has changed. But this is natural. If you look at the current graph, it is shooting up high. That is natural. The line that you're looking is natural warming, but now it's shooting up high. So previously, when we are migrating from one place to another, we are not afraid of climate change because it actually helps with the migration, human, right? But now, coastal area is where people like to settle down. Coastal area where we built our university, right? So everyone is attracted to the coast. And we start to settle down dekat pantai. Semua orang suka pantai kan? But with the rising sea level, it is actually very affecting our coastal line. Alright, so I think the other panel will talk about the response of the coastal area. So I hope this is clear. Global warming is actually part of climate change. Sometimes you get global warming all the way. You have very warm climate. And then sometimes the climate somehow, planet Earth change. It can go into a cold ice age again. So right now, it's a debate actually between the geologists or earth science scientists whether we are going to the extreme warming or everything will stop at one point and the earth will turn into a very cool climate again. So that is one of the debate that we are still trying to figure out. Research has to go on to try to figure out where the earth is going. All right? So I guess that is it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Fatin, for that explanation. I really liked it that you tried to make it less complicated and very layman. So thank you so much. And I hope that everybody now understand more the difference between weather dan juga climate, because those two are different. And like you mentioned, we are scared now because it's very much human-made rather than natural. And also the way we I guess kita pun pergi sekolah dulu, kita belajar global warming. Jadi kita selalu ingat, oh panas. Climate change tu equal to panas. But it's not just that. It's of course part of it. But climate change can also happen in other ways like sea level rise, typhoons, or flooding. All these natural disasters become more lagi teruk dan the occurrence become more frequent lah. So thank you so much for that introduction. Next up, we will move on to dalam lagi, tengok a specific topic. For this one, it will be more on the coastal communities, particularly probably the fishermen. So before that, just a quick reminder to those who are tuning in online. Currently, we're having a satellite event as part of the National Climate Governance Summit 2024, which is happening right now in Sasana Kijang Bank Negara. And we are happy to be having this discussion here in UMT, which will be focusing more on coastal communities given our location and the expertise of UMT and also UNISA in marine-related stuff, right? So next up, we have Dr. Hor Wai Ho, who will be talking more about the impacts of climate change on fisheries and also aquaculture, and what are the mitigation strategies in the future for sustainable management. So before we start, I would like to introduce Dr. Hor Wai Ho. Dr. Hor Wai Ho graduated from UMT in 2016 in PhD in aquaculture. After 2 years of postdoctoral at Shantou University, China, Dr. Hor joined Institute of Tropical Aquaculture and Fisheries, UMT, as a senior lecturer in 2019, and his expertise revolves around the fields of reproductive physiology, fisheries, aquaculture, biotechnology, and the effects of climate change, especially for high-value crustacean species such as crabs, shrimps. So Dr. Hor has published more than 100 publications, with 42 publications as the lead author in internationally indexed papers. And Dr. Hor currently has a H index of 27 and holds editorial position for several well-known international papers such as Biodiversity and Conservation. So he is also the member of Young Scientist Network, Academy of Sciences Malaysia, and the Deputy Secretary for the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, ASM East Coast Chapter. So Dr. Waiho, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Fatin. And also, thank you, Dr. Fatin, for the very good introduction on climate change. So, as we have seen in the Mentimeter just now, most of us, most of you guys and also most of us, generally relates climate change with something that we learn from schools or something that we see on TV. That is the risk and death of polar bears, the melting of polar ice, and so on. But like what Dr. Fatin has said, climate change actually happens very, very near to us. We don't really need to look so far. Climate change, like what Prof. Fazil has said, climate change effects is already impacting our society. So not just us, the people that is living around us, and also the environment around us. So today I'm going to specifically talk about the impact of climate change on two major sectors, the fisheries and aquaculture, and some of the ways to mitigate and also to make sure that they are sustainable. So climate change, it affects fisheries and aquaculture in a lot of ways and at various scales. So it will affect the abundance of fishes and also the catch of fishermen. But today, I'm specifically looking into the life of coastal fishing communities. So today, we are talking about how can we apply the poverty lens into the impact of climate change for fisheries and aquaculture, especially in Malaysia. So fisheries and aquaculture are two very important sectors in Malaysia, especially in Terengganu. So you guys are from UNIZA, some of you are from UMT. We noticed that a lot of our friends or a lot of people living around us are small-scale fishermen and small-scale aquaculturists. So what happens to them if climate change happens? Like what Dr. Fatin has said, climate change, some of the obvious impacts or direct impacts are the rising of sea levels. So all these, the first people that is going to be impacted by sea level rise are those that are living in the coastal. And if you see the coast of Terengganu, people that are living in the coastal are the small-scale fishing communities. So they are the first that is going to be impacted. And why are we talking about this? Later on, I'll show to you guys what happens to them and what are the difference if compare the same situation if it is going to be applied to us. So small-scale fishing and fish farming communities in developing countries, especially Malaysia, are often marginalized. And normally they are at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder. Okay, and since more than 90% of employed in this sector are engaged in small-scale fisheries, so this is also where poverty are most prevalent. So when we say small-scale fisheries, this doesn't just include fishermen, it also includes the whole value chain. That means people that are processing fish, people that are selling fish as well. And how exactly are climate change and poverty related to fisheries and aquaculture? Now, small-scale fishers and small-scale aquaculturists, compared to us, they are super vulnerable to climate change. Number one is their geographical location. If you see just in Terengganu, most of us, we stay inland, right? But for fishermen, the most advantage point for them to stay is right beside the coast because they need to park their boats. They need to process their fish. They need to, well, most of the fish that they sell are just beside the coast, beside the beach. So their geographical location, it's a vantage point for them, but it is also it is also a reason why they are most affected by climate change because of sea level rise. That is the first one. Now the second one is their poverty situation. So when we say tahap kemiskinan, it means it is the ability of a community or individual to actually purchase something. So the purchasing power and also the ability to have to make changes using what they have, that is very low. So when we say poverty situation makes them vulnerable to climate change, for example, if seawater level rises, let's say if we have satu kampung where half of it are civil servants and they have incomes of 3,000 to 5,000 per month compared to another half of the kampung are fishermen. So when sea level rises, who do you think will be most affected? It will be the fishermen, because the other half of the kampung will have enough money to actually move out, or they have enough money to actually build more infrastructure to help prevent seawater rises in their home. But compared to the lower income fishermen, they can't do anything because they don't even have enough income to survive for tomorrow or day after. So aside from these two, there is also very strong connections to political marginalization. So this means that small-scale fisheries and aquaculture sector, normally they don't have a voice in climate adaptation planning process. So in general, when the government plans or when we try to form policies, normally because they are from the most bottom society level, most of the time we forgot about them. We don't really ask their opinion, like what do they think about some of the important criteria that should be included in some of the laws or policies that we form. And then there are also the problem of unequal power relations. This is because in small-scale fisheries, normally how they sell their product is through middlemen, through intermediaries. So when they sell through middlemen, a lot of things are being controlled by middlemen. So the price of the fish are being controlled by the middleman, and then also orang tengah, they will also have different kinds of loans for fishermen, and this will make the fishermen to be caught in a trap of always being in a loaning states with the middleman. So some of the current progress in mitigating this includes there are already various strategies. So number one, when we look at the international level, the FAO stands for Food and Agriculture Organization. So it is a United Nations organization that helps to govern the status and also the progress of food and agriculture. So fisheries and aquaculture is under FAO. So FAO comes up with the Fisheries and Aquaculture National Adaptation Plan guidance. So it guides all the countries in the world on how to incorporate climate change strategies into fisheries and aquaculture. And then when we zoom into national level, we now also have what we call NDCs, that is nationally determined contributions. So this is also driven by FAO, and in 2017, there's already 155 nations submitted NDCs. So in these NDCs, they describe what are their planned actions to mitigate and also to adapt to climate change. And out of these 155, there are 87 that addresses fisheries and aquaculture. And notably, 23 are in countries such as in Asia and also 23 in Africa. And if you see in the map, the blue color are those that includes fisheries and aquaculture in NDCs. You can see that most of these countries are in the Asia Pacific region. So that includes Malaysia as well. So that is because fisheries and aquaculture are actually a quite important sector in our country. So some of the examples of poor social policies related to climate change has also been reported in NDCs. So I have highlighted just 4. These 4 are quite the proposed change that they have raised are quite important. So the first one is the protecting and enhancing of resilience of coastal and estuarine economies and livelihood, and also support alternative livelihood. This is being proposed by Gambia, India, and also Korea. And then some countries also propose micro-insurance. This is for private sectors and also for the vulnerable segments. Now, micro-insurance is important because small-scale fisheries, they don't even have sufficient funding. So micro-insurance actually protects them from the impact of climate change if something unexpected happens. For example, like the typhoon. So they have this micro-insurance. And the third one is the integration of climate funding framework into the national plan and budget. That is by Bangladesh and Maldives. And also by Thailand. Thailand proposed to develop integrated marine conservation and coastal rehabilitation plan, and also to increase capacity to manage climate-related health impacts. So all these are examples of some of the pro-poor social policies. Okay, but what can we do in the future? So just now in the NDCs, those are planned actions. Those are actions that have not been realized or just now is being realizing now. So what can we do in the future? So we can actually enable national legal and policy making frameworks into countries, and also to really incorporate pro-poor policies to help lift communities out of poverty through targeted provision of services. We can also have social protection schemes that are risk-informed and shock responsive, so that people that don't have diversified resources, such as fishermen, they rely only on fish catching. At least they have some sort of scheme that protects them if something unexpected happens. And we can also add adaptation measures into poverty reduction strategies. And climate adaptation in fisheries and aquaculture is also a governance challenge. So it is not just, well, because it affects small-scale fisheries, it is not just the responsibility of the fishermen alone. So to actually tackle this issue, it has to be a unified and collective action by all parties. So it has to work from the government together with the civil society, with us in the academia, in the university, and also the community grassroots level, to actually interact and engage so that we can know what are the needs and what are the power and what are the effort that we can do to help each other. And governance should empower communities. I think this will be talked by one of the panelists later. And also finally, we have to recognize the roles that women play in securing essential community functions and services. Because for us, we think that small-scale fisheries are being propelled by men alone. But it is actually very not true. Women actually plays a very fundamental role in small-scale fisheries, because they are the drivers behind repairing the net. They are the drivers behind collecting the fish from the net itself. Although they are not the one, they might not be the one that drives the boats out and catch the fish, but they play all the important roles after fish catching. So, and then next, I'll talk specifically on aquaculture. So the first thing that differentiates aquaculture and fisheries is that aquaculture is the culture of marine organisms compared to fisheries. Fisheries, it involves aquaculture, but mainly it is the catching of marine resources from the sea. So for the first, well, these slides talks about the importance of identifying climate change drivers. So a lot of things can affect aquaculture, but one of the most important drivers is climate change. And then we have direct and indirect drivers of climate change. So it will cause short-term or long-term impact to aquaculture. So some of the direct drivers is listed here. It includes ocean warming and so on. But some of the indirect climate change drivers, these can include the increase in human population or the advancement in technology. All these are the indirect climate change drivers. So for short-term impacts on aquaculture, climate change can cause loss of production or infrastructure due to extreme events. It can also introduce disease because when temperature or when climate changes, different population of fish or different populations of disease that attach to the host can have a wider geographical range. We also have toxic algae and parasites, and ultimately it will cause decreased productivity due to suboptimal farming conditions. And for the long-term impacts, like what our fishermen have already seen, it will have a decrease in wild seed, and then we'll have limited access to fresh water for farming. We'll have less fish, that means less feed from marine and terrestrial resources, and ultimately decreased productivity. So how vulnerable though are we to climate change? So if you look at these slides, there are three world maps. Now the first world map is on the impact of climate change on aquaculture in freshwater zone. The second one is on brackish water, and the third one is on marine environment. So if you see Malaysia, you can find Malaysia here. So our freshwater aquaculture is in green color. So we are quite high at the vulnerable table. So for freshwater aquaculture, I can say we are very vulnerable to climate change impact at the global level. And for brackish water aquaculture, it's similar as well. So we are in the middle of the chart. So we are also very vulnerable. And also for marine environment, well, we are at low, but that is the case for most of the country as well. So mitigation strategies, I'll just sum it up since I think most of us can't see as well. Mitigation strategies for climate change adaptation, it involves all the sectors of the society. So we have the roles of institutions where they need to include climate change into policies. They need to make sure that policies are being enforced, and also the integration of climate change into frameworks and also institution frameworks. And also in other sectors, academia plays important roles too in ensuring knowledge and awareness of climate change adaptations are being spread throughout the community, especially for the fisheries and aquaculture sector. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Haiho. Because I think when it comes to climate change, people have been talking a lot about the science behind it. So thank you so much for bringing us through on how climate change is impacting people, especially those who are vulnerable to, for example, in this case, poverty. And we're talking about people who are tengah cari makanan kita, right? Okay, this is like our food. Like if their life is impacted, our food security is also will be impacted. Like mungkin 50 tahun ke hadapan ikan kita macam mana? Sebab sekarang pun kita dah tengok nelayan is having a hard time to make a living. And last month I went to Philippines and nelayan dah tukar an alternative livelihood already. They open up like nurseries for mangrove, for example. So they're already shifting into other jobs even, right? Tapi tak nak lah because nelayan tu lifestyle dia kan. So hopefully in the future they can still be fishermen in aquaculturists, right? Thank you. And I think Dr. Wahid also mentioned a little bit about the NDC, which is the nationally determined contributions, which I feel that will be more on the policy side, and That's why today we have our policy expert when it comes to climate change, and moving forward, we'll be listening in more about that. And just to keep everyone in loop, especially those who are online, this panel is part of the broader National Climate Governance Summit 2024, which is the main event happening in Bank Negara right now. But today we are having a discussion, particularly on the context of coastal communities here in UMT. So, right, so before we start, I'd like to introduce our next speaker who would discuss more on the policy and also governance on climate change, right? So here we have Prof. Madya Dr. Jong CP, is a distinguished academic at the Faculty of Law and International Relations, UNIZA, with 24 years of experience in both industry and also academia. So he specializes in environmental law, intellectual property, and business governance. And he also has contributed significantly to legal scholarship, including his pioneering work on environmental law in volume 28 on Halsbury's Law of Malaysia. And Prof. Jong lectures on international environmental law, public international law, and intellectual property, and has also taught business ethics and international trade. In addition, with his teaching role currently in UNIZA, he also serves as an advisor and coach for the International Law Students Association's ILSA, and provides consultancy on legal affairs to law firms and also private companies. Right, to you, Dr. Jong.
Thank you to the moderator and also my two distinguished panel for sharing their experience with us. Thank you to everyone, each and every one of you here for making it a success from UNIZA and also from UMT. Are you able to follow us? Have you all taken your breakfast? Not yet. All right, bear with us. We will provided. Huh? I know it's quite tired because it's already 1 hour and 15 minutes. I know it's quite tiring. I think you will want to go to the toilet, but I'll try to keep it short. Right now, I'm going to talk about the next topic is I'm going to talk about something macro at a higher level. So for those who disagreed on climate change and for those who agreed, right, it's actually a good environment. Those who agreed and those who disagreed, because this will provide you motivation to do research at the higher level, right? I have supervised many research on the environmental, so I am also available if you need me to guide you, right, in your research, in understanding topic related to environment. So today I'm going to talk about something big. Just now my good friend Dr. Kaur have shared with us some of the case study at the micro level, right, that climate change is real, it's not bluff, it's not tipu, it's not scamming, right, it's real. Right, so that is a good example for those who disagree, right? And also Dr. Fatin shared with us the ice age. I watched ice age with my daughter 3 times already. Now when I get home, right, they are the controller of the remote. Right? I can't change. Ice age, just sit there and watch, right? They cannot change anything. So I watched it for 3 times already. Like it or don't like, I watch them. But ice age is also real, right? I mean, there are those who disagreed and agreed, but we have to come to a point where we agree to disagree or agree. We need to reach that point. We cannot be arguing all the time. Right? So climate change, if you agree or disagree, okay, where are we going to agree? At which point? Right? So that provides you a good motivation for you to do research, for you to do your master, for you to go to the next level. And another good thing for you, right, because of disagreement, right, it provides you opportunities to work. If you look at the vacancy, the ministry vacancy, right, everything is now aligned with policy, right, framework and strategy. So there are many areas where you can go in and lead. So this is a good motivation. Okay, now I'm going to talk about something big. Now, Dr. Cole and Fatin share with us some good case study. But everything must come from something. What is that something? It's a big document. We call them policy. So let us go to the policy side. Okay. Now, policy is a big document. Whatever we do, right, whether you're from law, you're from biology, science, we start with this big document. We call them policy. And then when you are doing research as well, you need to talk about policy. And we talk about implementation, case study, cost management, right? You also need to talk the policy. So what is the policy? And whatever we are doing today, moving forward, we always ask the first question, what is the policy? Where is the policy leading us? So this is a good area of research. Yeah? So now in terms of policy, right, the first policy that talks about climate change in Malaysia is the National Policy on Climate Change. It was in 2019. So this is the document that motivates us to move forward, that climate change is real and we need to solve the problem. Like it or not, the document is there for you to disagree. Right? You can look at this document. Now this document is a big document. I do not want to go into details, right? It's quite tiring, but I have selected two important principles, right, to motivate us in our research and understanding. The first one is sustainability, right? The word sustainability, when was the first time you heard it? When? 5 years ago? 10 years ago? When was the first time you heard sustainability, right? Or Dr. Kor talking about sustainability. When was it first mentioned? Or Dr. Fanti said sustainability. Or Bank Pembangunan. When did it come across and start marketing the word sustainability? And when I heard about that word, frankly, I don't really know what it means. Right? It translates sustainability into Malay, for example. Right? What is sustainability in Malay? How about you? Can you help us? Right. How do you translate sustainability into Malay? Lestari. Again, nobody knows what is Lestari. Lestari. Nobody knows. Right? Right? They don't know what is sustainability. Right? So that is the problem of understanding, right? What do you mean by sustainability, right? So again, so this policy talks about sustainability, but it is a principle, right? It's a principle where you can do research. It's a principle where you can apply for your job. My job, sustainability officer, right? So you can apply. So it's good for you to apply and study. So the second principle is on conservation. So this document talks about conservation. Again, when was the first time that you heard about conservation? And what is the difference between conservation, preservation? Right? Is that the same? No, it's not the same. Environmental preservation and environmental conservation is not the same. Right? So again, there is an understanding conservation. So when we do something, right, we follow these two principles according to this policy. So two things I share with you to bring back. You can include them in your research, in your project, right? Number one, sustainability principle. Number two, conservation principle. These are the two principles promoted by the policy on climate change. So this you need to include them in your research, right, in your talk. Okay, second, move on to the second one. The second one is a very interesting policy, right? Like mentioned by my two panel on adaptation, mitigation. Okay, we go into that. That is also more confusing. You have to go for one lecture on that. All right, now I try to keep it as simple as possible. Now this policy talks about green technology. When was the first time that you heard about green technology? When did it come in? Are you using green technology in your life? Right. You are using a technology, but that technology must be green. So where is the green technology? Is this green technology? Right. Is this that I'm using is called green technology? Again, what is green? Right. What is the opposite of green? What is the opposite of green? Opposite of black is white. White, black. Opposite of green? Right. Again, I cannot find an answer. Right. What's the opposite of green? But you say it's green technology. Okay. Fine. Now, according to this policy encourages us to use green technology. So everywhere from now forward, the technology, the lifestyle, right, even in the coastal area, we have to use technology which is green. Why? Because this policy asks us to do so. This policy is our grandfather and grandmother, whether we like it or not. My grandmother say, my grandfather say, right? Yes, we follow because we respect them. So this is your grandfather policy. You have to follow. Right? Green technology. So whatever you use, it must be green. If it is not green, do not use. Simple as that. Right? So now this policy has contained 4 pillars. I do not want to confuse you. No more battery. Oh, this one not so green. Okay. Okay, never mind. I think I got my phone. No, but we can't go manual. Oh, the laptop shut down. Okay. Now, 2 things I will share with you for green technology, right? Green technology is that a policy document that encourages us to use technology that is environmentally friendly, right? So, for example, we are using this phone. Is this phone friendly to the environment? Is the car you're driving friendly to the environment? Right, again, that's another debate, right? So now everyone is using EV car, right? The car that I like, build your dream. But it's too expensive from China, battery-based, right? But nobody likes that car. The problem is battery, right? It's not friendly. So the green technology policy encourages us to use technology that is friendly to the environment. So whatever technology that you use, you must ask yourself, is this friendly to the environment? And then another problem is, what is the meaning of friendly to the environment? Right? And if the technology that you use is not friendly to the environment, right, then you should not use. But I'm driving a normal car, right? Gas car, right? And carbon monoxide. What comes out from the car is carbon monoxide. That harms the environment. And if you stay too long on the carbon monoxide, you will die. That's why they install the technology in the exhaust. What is the name of that technology to reduce carbon monoxide? Catalytic converter. Catalytic converter, right? The catalytic converter is green technology that we are using, right? Now, green technology, now, the government, the companies, Tesla is promoting electric car. Are you going to buy electric car? I wanted to buy electric car, so I went to one show. I think the car is Volvo. Then I asked the salesman, berapa? He said 238,000. I said, okay, too many zeros, sayonara, I cannot buy. Right? Volvo EV car, 238,000, full stop. Where got money to buy? You got money? You? Core is a rich man, no problem. Right? But we are miskin. Right? How about those who are fakir? Forget about miskin. This one, fakir. I am fakir, so again, forget about EV, whatever it is, right? I cannot do anything. Right? I'm fakir, not miskin. Right? So that is one. So the green policy technology encourage energy. So the example that I gave you are all energy, gas, carbon monoxide. So you need to use green car, but green car is too expensive. So how are we going to implement this green technology? EV car so expensive, right? CBD, build your dream from China, also so expensive. We cannot afford. Coastal villager cannot even afford anything. Forget about CBD parking in front of the beach, right? Continue to dream, right? Okay, second, this green technology talks about our focus now is on social, right? Yes, I agree with that. That includes coastal community, right? But the one that mentioned by my good friend, fishery and so on, right? These are some of the examples of green technology. Are there green technology inside? Fishery, climate change impact on the fishery. Do you see any green technology that in the case study given by Dr. Kaur? Do you see any green technology? Right? If you click green technology in fishery, you can see thousands of invention. Solar panel they use, right? And also the feed they give, include that in the probiotic for the fish feed. Again, green technology. Green technology is thriving. Right? For those who are in biology, you do green technology. So that helps the coastal community. And of course, finally, is to reduce greenhouse gas. What is greenhouse gas? According to Malaysia document NDC submitted 2016, Malaysia said, the government said, we agreed to reduce GHG, greenhouse gas. And we have identified 7 greenhouse gas, right? One of them, carbon monoxide, methane, sulfur oxide, and so on. And the worst example is CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, the one that you spray and spray and spray all the time. Now, if you go to a shopping mall and you buy that spray, you will see the label CFC free. At first, when I read this, I also don't know, right? Because we never studied. What is CFC free? CFC free is because of the new law, regulation, that prohibit the use of this element which damage the ozone layer. Another topic, ozone layer. So now there's no more CFC. So this is good compliance, good governance. No more CFC, right? So this, and the third, of course, is to increase carbon sink. So increase carbon sink, an example is very simple. You plant more trees, pokok, right? That's why if you want to help the environment, right, you want to help climate change, you grow more trees. Why? Why trees? Everywhere, trees. If you open the holy book, the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, in the Quran also mention as-sajarah, trees. Why they mention, why in the Quran mention trees? You must understand why trees is mentioned. Is it because climate change? You look in the Quran, there is no climate change. Right? No sustainable, but it mentioned trees, the pokok as-sajarah. What is the meaning? Right? That is to help the environment. You need to grow more trees, right, so that you can help. So in a way, that trees will increase the carbon sink. Trees increase carbon sink or what? Or reduce carbon sink? Right, you learn in your SPM science, why tree? Right, and this is the favorite question always that come out. Photosynthesis, right? So that helps the climate change and environment. Next. Okay, bear with me. 3 minutes, I'll finish 3 documents. Okay? The third one is policy on biodiversity. Now, since when they heard about biodiversity? I also don't know. I was like you. Right? I come across so many super bombastic words. I myself, but I really don't know anything. But in my heart, what the hell, right? I don't know what it means. Right? But biodiversity, when I was heard, I also don't know what is biodiversity. Right? So I studied the document and so on. So biodiversity support climate change. This is a document that you can download and read and include them in your research and paper. Right? If you want your paper to be strong, you need to include policy as a driving document. Now this policy focus how, an example, the focus is on climate change, right, is to conserve biodiversity and to use it in a sustainable manner. What is to be used in a sustainable manner? How? The document encourages us to create more MPA, marine protected area. What is marine protected area? In terms of fishery, where is the marine protected area? In terms of reef, coral reef, where is the marine protected area? In Terengganu, where is the marine protected area? Give me one example. Right? Maybe in Rantau Abang, the turtle, right? That site, we need to protect so that the turtle can come back every year to lay egg. Right, the turtle. And what is the name of that turtle that always come to Rantau Abang? There's only one turtle. What is the name of that turtle? Leatherback, 1 star for you. Good. Excellent. People said turtle, kuro. I said so many kuro, so many turtle. Which one? So don't know. Leatherback lah. the turtle that wear the leather jacket. You got a leatherback. Only one place he come. They won't go to KL or right. They only come to Rantau Abang, not Rantau Panjang. Right, Rantau Abang. Okay? So an example I give you is, and to implement this, we need to implement mitigation and adaptation, already mentioned by my good friend, Dr. Cole, right? That is where some of the example, mitigation and adaptation. This one you can write 100 theses on this. Okay, next. And lastly, right, this document has been updated, right? Updated. So this is the latest document that you will use. We call them Policy on Biological Diversity 2030. Released when? By the Minister Nick Nazmi, from NRE. I think last year I was watching the TV. I saw him announce this document. I tried to search for this document. After that, I cannot find. Then I called my friend working from the ministry. Hey, help me lah. I need this. So sorry lah, not out yet. Minister just mentioned online, right? Take photo and so on that document. So look at this document, cannot find. Not yet uploaded. So how to download? Right? So I managed to get it afterward lah, somehow. Lah. So this is a document that we use now, right, to address climate change related to coastal. We call them Policy on Biodiversity 2030. Released, I think, last year. 2030 release. And it's valid until 2030. Why valid until 2030? Any idea? Why is 2030 so important? Have you ever wondered? Many of the policy documents now, at the end, the expiry date, 2030. Sometimes I wonder why the expiry date is so long. Right? Ever wonder why? What is the importance of 2030? Try to find out. Huh? The important is, this document is important because it includes a new component for us to follow in our research. Huh? Sustainable Development Goal. Have you heard of this before? Right? Many don't understand. You go to the coastal village, you ask that abang or kakak, UN SDG, then the mother, they will say orang gila. UN SDG, because we have to follow UN SDG. What is UN SDG? What is SDG? Nobody knows. You go to a coastal village, ask the fisherman, whatever it is, they say, saya tak tahu. I don't know. 我不知道.我不知道. I don't know. Right. This one nobody knows, you know. Surprisingly. I mean, when I was like you, I also don't know, admit. UN SDG. So now, everyone, your research from student to government to bank, all follow this document called UN SDG. Memorize. Include them in your research. Because this is not the new document that we are following. Everywhere you go, UN SDG, UN SDG, everyone have to memorize them. Huh? Okay, so this document talks about the need to protect and conserve biodiversity and to protect them. And the case study mentioned by Dr. Cole also shows some example of adaptation and mitigation to protect and conserve biodiversity. Otherwise, there's no more fish to eat. I went to the restaurant and my favorite is ikan kembung. I asked makcik, ikan kembung ada? Tak. Ikan selah, whatever. I said, sorry lah, I don't like those fish. I only want ikan kembung. Sorry, today no ikan kembung. Climate change. Right, so too bad lah. All right, and before we go, I want to give this to you as a breakfast. So breakfast can eat, this one can eat. This one can give you money. This one can give you new direction. Right? It's called Paris Agreement. Right? Paris Agreement. Why is it very important? Because whatever we do today, university, the bank, right, your boss, the government, private, public, they all follow the Paris Agreement. So what happened? Why is the Paris Agreement so important? It's so important because Malaysia already ratified this agreement in 2016. Ratify means sign the agreement lah. Okay lah, I agree. Saya berjanji, so-called lah, saya berjanji, quote unquote. I agree to follow. Follow what? Take a look. There. I agree to follow to limit, right, temperature increase to 1.5, between 1.5 degrees Celsius to 2. But 1.5 is the agreed one, right? The middle point, okay, 1.5. Right, to pre-industrial level. Oh, this pre-industrial level also, right, another 10 hours of debate. Right, what is pre-industrial area? Ice age or what? Which part of ice age we want to count pre-industrial area? But whatever it is, the one who agreed and the one who disagreed, we need to work together to reduce the global temperature, right, to limit them to 1.5 degree. Right, that is the Paris Agreement. Aku janji. Signed by 196 countries. Aku janji. Janji what? To limit to 1.5. And Malaysia has ratified, so Malaysia said we agree. And in the document submitted by Malaysia NDC, do you know what is NDC? Nobody knows what is NDC actually. It's very complicated. If you do master at a famous university, NDC is one part of the syllabus, right? If you do international environmental law, I normally include NDC because NDC is a document that the Malaysian government agreed under Paris Agreement, the Aku Janji document. Janji what? What do you agree? Malaysia agreed to reduce, right, to our carbon to 45% by 2030, right? So some of the action mentioned in the NDC document, how are we going to implement and achieve 45% reduction of the carbon by 2030? Okay, so that is my breakfast to you. And that is the new document, Paris Agreement, which you must include in your research, in your grant, whatever it is, when you are talking about environmental. The new document is Paris Agreement. So I hope you enjoy my breakfast. Right, if there are any questions, you can always ask me. I think my time is over. And thank you very much. And I surrender this floor to the moderator.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jong. I think that was a very good closing as well. Closing it with the Paris Agreement, which I feel like a very important document when it comes to climate change. And I think this year we're already at COP29 already. Paris Agreement was in COP21. COP is basically the Conference of Parties. Kira sesiapa yang dah sign, semua negara yang dah sign, setiap tahun dia akan berjumpa untuk bincangkan macam mana kita nak kurangkan reduce greenhouse gases, for example, and also the temperature. And this year it's going to be in Azerbaijan, I think, for COP29. So we'll see how it goes. This is every year Malaysia will send our negotiators there, and they will negotiate with other countries as well, right? So thank you for that introduction on the policy side of climate change and the very bigger picture of it, right? So I think we can move on to the next one. But before that, just to mention to the online audience, this panel is a satellite discussion or event which is part of the broader National Climate Governance Summit 2024, which is happening right now in KL. But right now we're having a separate conversation focusing on coastal communities particularly. So tadi ketiga-tiga panel dah ada dengar sikit-sikit perkataan adaptation, perkataan mitigation. Tapi apa tu adaptation, apa itu mitigation? Dan I feel like orang yang belajar tentang climate change pun kadang-kadang confuse lagi apa itu perbezaan antara adaptation and mitigation. And that's why for the next one we're gonna dive in more into adaptation and also mitigation strategies. And here we will have Prof. Dr. Effie Helmi bin Arifin who will be presenting on this topic. So before we start, I'll just like to introduce Dr. Effie Helmi. So Dr. Effie focuses his research on coastal morphodynamics within various coastal management strategies. And his work involves in the understanding of coastal processes which are influenced by natural hazards and also anthropogenic factors. So given the challenges of his field research, particularly in developing the numerous things that are happening to our beach, for example, right? So he employs experimental methods such as physical modeling to better understand macam mana monsoon patterns and how they are impacting our coastal processes. So, and his research is very crucial in addressing global issues such as sea level rise and coastal erosion, which is very relevant to our location right now in Terengganu. So, to you, Dr. Effie.
Okay, thank you, Fatin. Okay, is it clear, my voice? Okay. Yeah, thank you, moderator, Ms. Fatin. And then thank you, the audience still with us and follow us until now, because I saw Dr. Jung already gave you the breakfast. I think you get quite surprised now. Okay, so now I understood why the Malaysian like K-pop and Korean movie. So because, yeah, like Dr. Jong adapts the culture on Malaysian because Dr. Jong is Korean. So that's why we quite a similar culture because, yeah, Dr. Jong know about the fakir, know about the what call the miskin. So that's why you know how we can adapt the differentiate with the adaptations. So we need to understand the culture first. When we understand or when we understood about the culture, we can understand how we can adapt the environment. So the idea is in my topic about the adaptation and mitigation. So surprisingly, every people know about the mitigates, not allow or not understand about the adaptations. For example, when you have a favor, you mitigate or you adapt. Please, if you have a favor, you mitigate or you adapt. From the keywords, yeah, I know you need to see the doctor or something like, but they understand about the adapt and mitigate. You nak selesaikan dahulu sakit tu, or you want to adapt, you memang sakit. Adapt, mitigates. So normally the common practice, you need to mitigate. So sorry to say, I thought the majority here is from UNISA. Actually, UNISA clicks, UNISA committee just mitigates the floodings. But we from UMT, we adapt the floodings. Because what? Because you give me the high or the big or volume of the water. And then we need to suffer every time the flood. But just is joking. But this is common practice. But we very thanks to UNISA, you gazette or you reserve 3 kind of the big area to have a ponds. So if normally previously you all just have a one big pond, and then the water cannot catch the water until arrive in UMT. But when you have a 3 big ponds, we can survive for every year during the rainy seasons. Okay, so this is common word. Normally we want to understand, we need to mitigate, but later on we adapt. But yeah, like Dr. Jung say, adaptation also is a quite surprise word that every people use adapts, but they don't know how to understand what they adapt. Just understand, adapt. You try to adapt apa bahasa Melayu Tu susah juga bila kita dah mix Kita serasi kan. Adaptasi macam Google Translate je kan. So sesuaikan keadaan. Tetapi sebenarnya bukan sesuai, tapi sebenarnya you try to jump in, take many kind of the puzzle to have a one big picture. Itu yang sebenarnya. Okay. I'm very sorry because my slide I think quite scientific parts. Because I thought this morning majority from the law background, right? But to understand what is your background, we need to understand you from what kind of culture. Boleh saya tahu berapa ramai daripada Terengganu? Terengganu? Betul dah. Okey, berapa orang daripada Terengganu? 1. Jangan takut sangat nak angkat Terengganu. Terengganu bola kuat sekarang. Ada Akia dengan Safawi kan. Okey, berapa orang daripada Terengganu? 1, 2, 3. 3 orang je. Daripada Kelantan. Saya tahu Kelantan agak kalah orang bola sekarang, yang malu gerak angkat tangan. Okey, berapa orang? So, faham? Okey, selain daripada 3 negeri yang saya cakap tu, berapa orang sekarang? Contoh yang 3 negeri yang tak masuk tu, angkat tangan je. So, majority daripada luar kan? Okay, this is the new agenda that I want to highlight it. Because every people come in to the local people, dia tak faham culture. Sebab tu orang kata apa, pepatah kebebasan Saya pun fail juga bahasa Melayu ni. Masuk kandang kambing mengembek, masuk mengaum kan, harimau mengaum kan. Kalau masuk ke JDT mengaum lah bola dia kan. Okay. So yang tu yang kena faham. So we can give the big claps to Dr. Jung because Dr. Jung is from Korean but he well understood and well adapts with the Malaysian culture. Boleh bagi tepukan yang kuat sikit Sebab saya tengok korang macam fokus je. Sebab saya nampak you all memang very biased. Bila background lawyer korang fokus walaupun korang tak faham tu apa keyword tu. Okay? Saya dengar macam sejak kecil tak pernah dengar tu apa sensitivity, apa benda tu kan. Tapi bila time saya you all macam bias. Sekarang baru you all dengan saya. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now we need to understand the culture ataupun local environment. Tahu bila hujan? Bila? Semalam. Bila yang selalunya hujan? Malam. You tahu? So you boleh faham what the different climate and weather. Okay? So yang kita kata climate tu apa semua tu? Tu bila tempohnya musim hujan. Bulan 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tak sampai? Okay. So orang law kena faham tu. Kalau tak faham, you kata musim hujan and then how to adapt, nanti orang gelakkan you all sebab salah terms. Sebab kenapa? Hujan tu you anggap semalam, kemarin ataupun kejap lagi tengok windy forecast. Tetapi musim hujung tahun yang you nak counterkan the environment punya policy, you kena faham the season. Okay? So kita ada berapa season? How many season we have in Malaysia? 4. Musim panas, musim sejuk, musim lembap, musim naik angin. Musim naik angin tu musim yang dengan lecturer hujung-hujung semester banyak bagi assignment and then nak cepat-cepat hantar and then nak masuk markah carry marks. Betul? Susah you asal ke lecturer. Tak berkat hidup tu kan. Okay, just joking. Okay, so hujung tahun normally we have a northeast monsoon. We not say raining season, but normally in East Coast we call northeast monsoon storms, because normally northeast monsoon storm bring it the wind, create the wave, and then can give some changes on the atmospherics, and then it can be raining. Okay, that's is normal. And then southwest monsoon, musim candak sotong. Okay, so lepas ni kalau you all balik, cakap dengan mak ayah kalau nak pergi masa musim candak sotong, kita pergi masa musim southwest monsoon. Oh bijaknya, background lawyer dah pandai dah benda-benda environment kan. So it can be like Dr. Jung, environmental law. Okay, sebelum ni you law saja. Lalas, sorry to say, ambil law banyak-banyak, lepas tu you bukan masuk buat kes ataupun pergi court, lalas buat stamp untuk beli rumah saja. Itu yang masuk kan. Yang ada selalu job kan. Okay, so we have a differentiate between the chronology or the evolution of the coastal evolutions. 1990 dah hidup belum? Saya masa tu baru 6 tahun. Okay, until 2014, and then normally in East Coast don't have a rapid developments compared to after 2014 when Terengganu, especially in Terengganu, declare we as a bandaraya, new bandaraya, very rapid. First kali pembangunan you nampak yang paling banyak, yang you tahu, nampak, tak tahu dah sampai ke belum sini, tapi orang Terengganu Kelantan boleh jawab, kita nampak airport kan, untuk pergi haji ke mana? Pergi haji ke mana? Tak faham kan? Itulah sekarang ni orang tak faham. Nak adapt ke nak mitigate? Faham So kita pergi haji sampai ke Mekah. Itulah biasa quite confusing the adapt and mitigate. Saya sedikit demi sedikit saya akan clearly what kind of differentiate adapt and mitigate. Okay? So kita boleh nampak mostly in UMT in station 3 we have a kind of erosion until 2014, but when we mitigate the erosions, many types of the structure on coastal structure, it can be more stable. Okay. Okay, and the most common on the structure, normally they put the revetment. Tahu revetment tu apa? Tak tahu kan? Dia letak batu yang dekat depan Pok Nong tu. Nampak Pok Nong? Tahu Pok Nong tahu? You all kena bangga belajar di Terengganu. Kita ada dua tempat yang famous. ICT, KLCC. Tak tahu Tak, bukan KLCC. KLCC kat bandar. KLCC. ICT tahu apa? Apa dia? Ikan celup tepung. KLCC, kopok leko, cicah colek. Okay? Okay. Itu the normal word for the local people. You all tak tahu KLCC Oh, tak cukup Terengganu lagi tu. Okay, saya dah 16 tahun duduk di Terengganu. Okay, letak batu depan tu and then protect from the wave. But currently, the existing of the breakwater, we can see the efficient of the protect on the wave. And then it can be create the sustainability for fishermen. Kenapa? Kalau kita letak batu kat pantai, like Dr. Wahyu cakap, kita kena kita ada small scale fishermen and then nak letak boat tu di mana? Tak sesuai kan? Tapi kita create a breakwater, tahu breakwater yang macam island tu, kat depan tu, and then bawah breakwater tu ada coral, ada lobster, ada apa. Oh, kita buat live kantoi pula ada lobster depan ni. Okay. And then dia create sustainability on fishermen. Okay. So, but how our coastal defense can sustain and adapt the climate change? Sebab apa? You all kalau tengok musim ombak besar hujung tahun, you pernah nampak splash out air tu? Siapa pernah pergi rumah pantai? Dari rumah pantai tu ada nampak ombak-ombak naik kan kat situ kan? Itu adakah silveres ke ataupun memang ombak tu kuat? Yang itu question mark. Sebab kita tak boleh. Okay, saya boleh bagi contoh. I can give some example in Netherlands. The water levels lebih tinggi daripada daratan. You dapat bayang macam mana? Kalau you duduk dekat darat, saya darat sini kapal atas tu, kapal atas laut. Dapat bayang? Macam tu lah. Tapi dia as a delta morphology, dia kepung the round of Netherlands and then air tu di atas. So, kemungkinan kita, adakah in one day kita macam tu? So, kita mitigate. Salah. Kita kena adapt dulu. Okay? So, like Dr. Jun said about the coastal zone management and then some biodiversity policy, blah, blah, blah tu, this is the way when we make a coastal management plan. First, we identify the erosion. Kita kita kena faham masalah apa. Contoh kita demam, kita tahu, identify kita demam macam mana. And then mitigate, kita bagi letak ubat untuk kita baik demam. And then we assess, besok sehari 2 hari lagi, kita dah baik ke belum. Sama juga macam erosion on coastal management plan. We identify first and then we mitigate and then lastly we assess. But this is common practice. But where's the adapts? Bila you dah mitigate, baru you nak adapt. Dah terlambat. Okay? So, and then now, actually we are very lucky because we not in the line of typhoon or cyclone. Tetapi you all tengok sekarang, bila ada typhoon, ada cyclone, tempias kat kita. Kenapa tu? Climate change ke? Itu question mark. Okay, this is an example that masa Rai Storm 2019, Pabuk Storm 2019, kita ada tempias. Baru tempias kita kena. Okay? Macam our director INOS say about the temperature increasing of temperature until to 1.5. Yang belum sampai 1.5 degree Celsius kenaikan tu pun dah ada nampak tempias-tempias. Okay, this is just an example that you need to understand in my topics. Sebab saya dah faham you punya topik law kan. You kena faham saya punya topik lah, kau tak bias. Okay, contohnya kita boleh bagi dekat Pantai Surah. Who's know about ataupun mana where the place on Pantai Surah? Pantai Surah. Tahu kat mana? Dungun. You all tak berkawan dengan mana-mana universiti Memang you kawan sama-sama Uniza je. Okey. Sebelah ni UMT kenal? Tak kenal? Kenal lah. UMT kenal kan? Orang dalam UMT tak kenal? Lepas ni kenal saya Saya dari UMT tau. Okey. So, Pantai Surah depan UiTM Dungun. Okey? Okey. Ni example in Pantai Surah. You tengok dia punya wave around 2.39 meters. Okey, ketinggian dia. Tetapi masa pabuk itu until to 4 to 5 meters. You nampak air dah naik banyak mana. Ini normal event ni. Tapi masa during the pabuk storm hari itu 4 to 5 meters. Maksudnya yang significant wave height tu. You tengok tinggi mana. Tsunami tinggi mana. That is relevant. So you need to understand what the model. So bila orang law, terutama orang environment, you need to understand bila kata wave height tu naik sampai ke darat. Janganlah fikir naik sampai ke atas bumbung rumah. Memang tak logik pun. Dia masuk dalam rumah je. Okay? Okay. And then, when you understand about the science, you need to involve the community. Because community lebih tahu. Dia ada local scientist citizen. So, from that, when you involve the coastal community involvement, from that you can adapt how to measure the adaptation. Okay? Dengan hard protection structure yang nombor 4 tu soft protection, coastal management, accommodative approach, retreat approach, bla 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 tu last kali kita lakukan effectiveness. Okay? This is idea that community involvement. We need to have many kind of stakeholder involving. Okay? For example, government agency, locality yang handle the mitigation, and then university and the coastal community give some input for them. And then we have coastal management plans. Okay? Now we go to adaptation and mitigation. Selepas ni kalau boleh jangan mitigate dulu. Kita kena adapt dulu. Kalau kita rasa dah mula kita nak demam, contoh nak adapt tu, rasa nak demam tu, sakit-sakit sendi, sakit-sakit kepala pening tu, kita try to adapt, elakkan makan Panadol. Macam itulah contohnya. Tapi how to adapt, kurangkan suhu, temperature bilik, duduk dalam bilik, selimut. Itulah contoh-contoh how to adapt. Okay, so how to adapt, you need to building the hard protections, you need to implement the soft protection, you need to accommodate the reduced vulnerability, and then lastly you need to design a new coastal model. So from that, the very comprehensive study, you can come out the mitigations. Bukan terus buat satu building hard protection macam kita buat sekarang ni. Kita mitigate, baru nak adapt. Kesian orang. Bila you buat tu, you hanya kurangkan hakisan di pantai UMT, tetapi you kurangkan harta pencarian untuk nelayan untuk pergi ke laut sebab kawasan pantai dah diletak batu. Okay? So from that, what the differentiate on coastal management plans versus and coastal adaptation strategy. So the idea is coastal adaptation strategy is 360. You need to understand. For example, how to conserve, how to sustain, how to mitigate, and etc. Okay, so again, what the sensitivity on mitigation? Macam kita nak sustain kan dia. So kita buatlah pelbagai green technology, eco technology, eco-friendly, bla 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 tu. Itulah dia akan come out dengan idea. Okay, so this is an example that we explore on coastal community punya involvement about the adaptation. Okay, kita letak pagar-pagarnya ni, and then from that kita boleh come out dengan pelbagai comprehensive punya tempat. Contohnya, we can provide the fishermen, we can conserve the marine habitat, and then enhancing the tourism sector, improving the local socio-economy, and then the main things is reducing and controlling coastal erosions. Okay? Okay, this is some finding yang mana ada events ataupun pagar tu kita tengok dia lebih sustain compare yang tidak ada apa-apa protection, but the normal way dia akan coming again. Okay? Okay, thank you very much.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Effie, for explaining to us more about perbezaan antara adaptation dan juga mitigation. And in the end, you also mentioned about community involvement and how important it is to actually involve community when it comes to, especially adaptation strategies, right? So that would bring us to our next topic, which will focus more on community engagement and also empowerment. So here we have Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Abi Sofyan, who will talk more on that matter. And before that, I'd just like to introduce Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Abi Sofyan bin Abdul Halim, is a lecturer in the field of business entrepreneurship, who is currently working at the Faculty of Business, Economics and Social Development and the Institute of Tropical Biodiversity and Sustainable Development, BioD Tropica, Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. So as a lecturer who is active in the research and knowledge transfer to small and medium industries, SMEs, and community development, he has conducted plenty of studies related to micro enterprises, SMEs, social entrepreneurship, rural industries, and community development. So currently, he has conducted several studies under several grants. And today he will discuss more on the community side, and also engagement and empowerment when it comes to climate change. And he also has presented several papers at the international and national level, and also published in several index journal articles. So with that, I'll pass the mic to Dr. Muhammad Abi Sofyan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, so I actually is a last last presenter, but I'm going is different. Sebenarnya berbeza. Saya bukan menyentuh dalam konteks sains lah. Saya banyak menyentuh dalam konteks social science, iaitu konteks business lah. Tapi saya rasa orang law, pelajar law perlu tahu juga bagaimana kita relatekan sains dan juga dengan dengan business. What we call is a cross discipline. Okay. So by today, my topic is I will going to present an engagement of coastal community. Engagement of coastal community in marine tourism. I want to know how many of you know about the marine tourism? Berapa orang yang tahu berkenaan marine tourism? Pernah dengar tak? Marine tourism? Pernah. Sebab ini dah di antara industri yang popular hari ini ya. So before we go further on that, actually marine tourism today is the most popular we can consider in South China Sea. Most of the foreign tourists come to the South China Sea. They will go to the service that we sell or present by the who are related to the marine tourism. That's why hari ini kalau kita tengok mana-mana yang datang ke Laut Cina Selatan ya, South China Sea, dia akan pergi ke pulau-pulau. Ya, dia akan pergi ke pulau-pulau kebanyakannya ya, ataupun di pinggir pantai. Ya, dia akan pergi ke situ. Dan one of my study before I relate to the Pulau Tioman, Pulau Perhentian dan Pulau apa satu lagi? Pulau Redang. Ya, Pulau Redang. Regarding about the marine tourism, ya. And then readiness in facing climate change. Actually, how many of the what we call is a pengusaha di sana yang benar-benar ready dalam berhadapan dengan masalah climate change? Kita bercakap, kita melontar-lontar di sini, tetapi berapa orang yang pengusaha di sana yang ready bercakap tentang facing climate change kita tadi. Ya, kita nak tengok. Okay. So before we go further on that, jadi macam ni pula. Yeah, coastal community that we consider are settlement located near coastline. So here, coastal community, saya tidak hanya melihat pada satu bahagian saja. Sebenarnya coastal community we can divide into several group of people. Yeah, we can consider first one is what we call is rural coastal community. Rural coastal community. Itulah yang menjadi daya tarikan daripada pelancong luar untuk datang ke Malaysia. Dia nak tengok tradisional kita, nak tengok culture kita yang berkaitan dengan rural coastal community. Actually itulah yang banyak membuat yang boleh menjadi produk pada hari ini. And then the other one is urban coastal community. So banyak hari ini apa yang terjadi di Malaysia daripada rural coastal community dia telah beralih kepada urban coastal community. Itu yang menyebabkan climate change itu banyak berlaku. Itu yang menjadi masalah. Ya. Ya, dari aspek itu tadi. And then mungkin juga dari aspek suburban coastal community. Perubahan bandar itu tadi, perubahan manusia itu tadi menyebabkan climate change itu menjadi semakin berlaku. Yeah. Okay, where ecosystem and human activity, as I said before, are especially interconnected, such as economy, education. Itu yang banyak telah berlaku tadi. Yeah. So here, the integrated of economy, social and environment as presented by the Dr. Ko just now. Yeah. They're talking about the sustainability. Kita bukan tak boleh bercakap tentang berlaku perubahan yang berlaku dalam konteks climate change. But how we control in the context of sustainability? How we control in the business, that's the problem among the industrial player. How we control the context sustainability itu tadi, ya, dalam konteks ekonomi, social and environment, supaya climate change itu tidak menjadi, dia akan berlaku, tetapi maknanya dia akan berlaku secara perlahan, sikit-sikit saja. Ya, okey. Itu yang perlu kita lihat, ya. Ya. And then engagement. So apa yang kita nak bercakap tadi ini ialah marine tourism. Marine tourism yang mana dia orang datang, kebanyakan pelancong yang datang ke sini dia ingin melihat dari aspek kita punya dari aspek environment kita. Itu sebenarnya yang kita yang menjual dari aspek culture, dari aspek social, ya. So the arrival of foreign tourists to our country has found by today that's become a new form of market in Malaysia. That's become a new form of market segment that can be as a strategic plan in promoting Malaysia in a context of marine tourism. So we can see by today how many fishermen because of yang dikatakan because of lupa dah. Lupa, tak apa. Because of yang dikatakan tu, dia menukarkan perniagaan dia daripada involved in the fishery industry, they go to the marine tourism. Because of what? because of demand from the product in tourism is very high. And then they easy for them. I mean, them is the fishermen. Easy for them to create the new product in the tourism. That's what does this new business career, okay, has shaped the residents, nelayan tadi, to start smartly looking for opportunity. That's become the business opportunity kepada nelayan. Pendapatan yang lebih tinggi dan kerja yang lebih mudah. Tourists with the product such as, dia hanya menjual produk satu saja. Diving activities, snorkeling, that's all the product that they can sell. That way they can work together. Ya, itu yang menyebabkan. Jadi produk yang mudah dan foreigner ataupun pelancong yang dari luar ingin datang, dia ingin melihat produk itu tadi. But today, most of the policy maker in Malaysia, they only talking about the today. What actually they can develop for the, from the fishery go to the involved in the marine tourism. But how about the adaptation as presented by Dr. Effie? Adaptation and mitigation in the context of what we call is, yes, dari aspek itu tadi yang management in the context of climate change. Sorry, otak tak ingat kerana dalam konteks climate change itu tadi. Kita kurang memberi perhatian dalam konteks climate change. Kita membangun dalam konteks pembangunan sebab demand is very high. But we need to think about the next 10 years. How about we need to control? How are we need to manage in the context of climate change today? Yeah, so that's itu yang menjadi penting. Yeah. So peniaga yang berniaga dia hanya menjual, dia berjaya. Tetapi for the untuk kepada yang pihak yang berkenaan, dia perlu memikirkan how about the climate change need to handle for next 10 years dalam konteks itu tadi. Yeah. So by today, based on my study, before this, our empower the new business opportunity. Government has launched several related policy require intentionally interaction between coastal community and government agency and private sector. They already launched the Dasar Pelancongan Negara. But they touch on, but they more emphasize regarding about the development, the market that can sell by our industry in, kalau kita dalam marine tourism itu tadi. Bagaimana kita nak berfikir dalam konteks climate change untuk akan datang. Kita perlu membangunkan industri kita bukan hanya untuk within 2030, but we need 2050. Supaya generasi akan datang pun akan merasa nikmat yang sama. So that's the climate change become important to our industry, to our business today. So business is not just thinking about the business, but they need to work together, cross this discipline with the science to think about how the climate change can we work together to control so that kita dapat membentukkan dasar pelancongan negara yang boleh membangunkan pada yang lebih pada akan datang lagi. Nowadays we're talking about the satu daerah satu industri. Okay, saya bagi contoh bukan di coastal area. Saya bagi contoh. Saya bawa balik dari Cameron Highland. Okay, saya bawa balik dari Cameron Highland. Satu daerah satu industri. Actually, for me, for last 5 years saya dah buat kajian ini. Di antara satu di antara industri yang berjaya dalam konteks satu daerah di di tanah rata yang dijual homestay, ya, dia terlibat dalam homestay tadi kan, dan produk-produk kepada pelancong itu tadi di tanah rata. Satu daerah satu industri. Actually we cannot kita tak boleh mengatakan di tanah rata itu satu daerah, satu kampung saja. One village, one product. Yang mana sebagaimana di Thailand. Di Thailand dia kata one tambun, one product. One tambun otok. Ya, one tambun. Tambun is we consider is like the village lah. Okay, ataupun satu masyarakat kecil. Ya. Tapi di sini di Malaysia kita panggil satu daerah, satu industri. Maknanya dia berjaya. Last 5 years, they already success in the context of satu daerah, satu industri dalam pada industri pelancongan. But the problem is, however, apabila saya balik melalui Berincang, saya turun ke ke bandar Kelantan tu lah. Gua Musang. Saya lihat banyak deforestation berlaku. Dan saya berhenti pada satu pengusaha, ya, satu pengusaha di situ. Dia mengatakan seseorang tu berapa hektar untuk dia membuatkan involved in agriculture. So for me, saya akan melihat Cameron Highland dulu terkenal sebagai industri pelancongan, tapi hari ini telah menjadi pertanian. Berbeza. Sebab itulah kadang-kadang kita dengar satu ketika orang mengatakan Cameron menjadi panas because of deforestation. Yeah, that's the problem itu tadi. Okay? So how about the climate change that we need to involve on that? Itu yang maksud saya dari aspek adaptation and mitigation yang perlu kita lihat. So kita lihat hari ini ya, in realizing the policy, most agency government hari ini hanya terlibat dalam memberi kewangan, ini berdasarkan kajian saya. Ya. Berdasarkan kajian saya, yes, dia menerima. Tetapi selepas dia menerima, bagaimana dia mengusahakan? Sebab apa? Musim dah berubah. Seperti mana yang berlaku tadi, erosion. Bantuan diberi, tetapi bagaimana bantuan itu untuk diuruskan? Tiada. Kenapa? Sebab iklim yang tidak dijangkakan. Itu yang berlaku dari itu. Okay? So the impact of climate change hari ini, we can see the sea level rise, yeah, in the context of sorry, apa ni? No. Industri tadi. Tourism. In tourism tadi kita tengok sea level rise, the impact to the tourism tadi, marine tourism. How we can talking about the sea level rise, but how we need to do untuk kita melari, untuk kita menghindarkan dalam konteks ini tadi. Erosion berlaku hari ini. Ini semua menyebabkan marine tourism itu menjadi permintaan di kita di Malaysia nak compete di Kepulauan Jawa, kita makin kalah. In term of marketing tadi. Okay, in term of ecosystem and biodiversity. How about di Pulau Redang? How about the Pulau Redang? Orang kebanyakan pelancong ingin datang ke Pulau Redang kerana biodiversity. Coral. But if we cannot, kalau kita tidak ada satu kawalan dalam konteks itu tadi, bagaimana ini boleh kekal? Yeah? In term of flooding and river banks, on the river banks tadi, itu pun itu antara itu. Okay? So I think that's all from me today.
Thank you, Dr. Abi. I think you highlighted a lot, especially on the balance in marine tourism, for example. Like, if it's too much, then it's not good. But at the same time, the area needs to be good for people to actually come, right? So it's like the balance is the key when it comes to marine tourism, especially in Terengganu. So we are done with all of our 5 presentations, and I think we can go back to Mentimeter. So phone korang keluarkan. Kita akan buat quiz sikit based on all the 5 presentations. We will go to our first question. So go to menti.com, menti.com macam tadi. The code is 26337868. Dah ada ke? Okay, dah ada 12 orang, 13 orang. Okay. Lagi 5 orang, saya start. Okay, 23, 24. Okay, boleh start tekan enter. So, soalan yang pertama. What is the age of our planet Earth? Based on our first presentation. Which one? Ni yang first kali. Awal-awal tadi. Pagi-pagi. 3, 2, 1. Yes. So, mostly betul. Tanya. Okay, next question please. Okay, dah ready? Enter. Question. When did the last ice age end? Tadi kita cakap ice age. Bila? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Tadang! Okay, nice. Next question, please. Okay, this was during the second presentation on fisheries and aquaculture. Which of these stakeholders in the fisheries and aquaculture sector will be affected the most by climate change? Siapa? Department kerajaan ke? Fishing industry as a whole ke? Aquaculture owners ke? Coastal small scale fishermen ke? Atau international fishing company? I don't think this has like a this is like more an opinion, right? It doesn't have like a correct answer. So most of people here, based on what Dr. Waihu have presented, feel that coastal small-scale fishermen and farmers will be the most impacted with climate change scenario. So thank you for paying attention. Next question, please. Okay, ni pun open-ended juga. Korang aware tak tentang policy-policy yang contoh macam tadi dah mention Paris Agreement, policy of biodiversity. Sebelum ni korang boleh lah. Yes, okay. Yup. Sebab kat sini ramai orang law, so no. Tapi faham. So Ali faham Oh, okay. Ali faham, alhamdulillah Ali faham. Okay, great. Are we ready for the next one? Next, enter please. So, what coastal protection method is commonly used in Terengganu to reduce the impact of coastal erosion? Kita ada revetments, beach nourishment and mangrove planting. Ingat tak tadi yang macam VV tepi pantai tu? Then, yes. So, tadi yang macam e-fence tu, and also, no, not the e-fence, the batu, right? Batu tu banyak yang korang nampak sepanjang jalan tu. Those are the revetments. Right. Okay, next question. Do we have any other question? Whoa, okay, siapa ni? Siapa the first one? Oh, siapa ni? Walaupun tak ada hadiah, kita bagilah tepukan kepada orang ni. Tak tahu siapa. Yuni Saki. Oh, ni yang dekat depan ni. Dia selalu yang duduk depan ni memang selalu dapat nombor 1 lah. See the first, this lady first. Yay, okay. Backdrop. Okay, I think we're already at the end of our session, but before that, I think we could do like a one round of question and answer. Here, I would like to open the stage, the floor, for everyone who would like to ask any question to any specific speaker. But tak apa, korang fikir dulu soalannya. I actually have one question each to our panel here today. So I'll start with mine first. And if you have any question, just raise your hand lah. So I think we can start first with Dr. Fatin. Because like I've mentioned at the very beginning, for my generation, kita orang kenal global warming daripada climate change. So kat sekolah, kita global warming, pemanasan global, right? Tapi sekarang, bila dah kat universiti contohnya, we're more exposed towards the term climate change. And even sekarang ada orang guna perkataan ataupun term climate crisis untuk menunjukkan betapa ini adalah krisis lah. So maybe you could explain a little bit more about the terms, the differences of the terms and why sekarang orang dah calling it crisis.
So I think the best way to explain about climate crisis is when we, as the population, human population, started to face a lot of difficulty, problems with the changes in the climate. Okay, saya bagi contoh kita punya negara jiran. Negara jiran tu mana? Banyak jiran kita. Indonesia. Siapa pernah pergi Jakarta? Jakarta. Okay, ada orang pernah sampai Jakarta. Jakarta merupakan ibu negara Indonesia. Okay, and disebabkan oleh climate change, they are currently moving the capital from Jakarta to Kalimantan. Why? Sea level rise. So climate change refer to not 1 year, not 2-year crisis, but it's a long-term punya perubahan. It happened to us slow dalam 10 tahun, tetapi in geological time period, kalau kita tengok perubahan sepanjang masa geologi 4.6 bilion tahun tu, sebenarnya rate perubahan sekarang ni sangat cepat compared to previously. Alright? So I think climate crisis, we started to call it climate crisis because we are, maybe kita dah face banyak problem, so it's a crisis to us. And macam itulah kita kena adapt, kita kena mitigate, and this is why they come out with all this, a lot of policies. Yang Dr. Jong kata, some of it we understand, some of it we also don't understand. Right? Sustainability started to come out because why? We started facing all these crises, I guess. Right? So climate change, global warming is part of climate change, and once it become a burden to us, a problem to us, then we call it climate crisis, I guess.
Okay, thank you. And I think because it's no longer something that we learn from books or read from the internet. It's literally happening to people. So I think people are also aware because dia jadi mangsa banjir setiap tahun and semakin teruk. For example, mungkin sebelum ni diorang tak pernah jadi mangsa banjir, tiba-tiba kehadapan jadi senang, frekuensi banjir tu lebih teruk dan lebih banyak kali berlaku lah. So yeah, because kita ialah mangsa kepada krisis tu juga. Okay, thank you Dr. Fatin. I think the next one will be for Dr. Waiho. Because I saw just now we talk about like management plans lah, adaptation plans lah. But in your opinion, like how can these big plans also ensure that small-scale fishers and also aquaculturists who are particularly vulnerable on to the impact of climate change, how would we make sure that they are included, their voices, that their real voices are included in these management plans?
Well, I think, that is a very good question. So to include them in the management plan, well, that is super critical because they form a major part of our society. Although they don't earn the most, but they form a very critical and major part of our society. And there are various ways where people have started to incorporate these marginalized communities into policies by various ways. There are awareness campaign or awareness programs that they have been doing, where academia and also the policymakers get really in touch with the local communities and really get to know what are the problems they are facing and how they can mitigate it. And also another way is through education, where we really need to educate not just the coastal communities, but also the people around, the people that are really in touch with them, like us as consumers or us as the same community with them, to really let them know what are the risks of climate change and what are the opportunities that they can apply. For example, what are the subsidies that are available for them. So without this awareness and without this education, maybe there are subsidies, but they are not even aware of it because they are so excluded from the rest of the community. Bila dah hebahan, mereka tidak tahu pun sebenarnya ada bantuan kalau saya if my monthly earning is below this, right? So that's why I think all of us as a community, we should be in touch with each other, from the lower sector to the middle sector to the upper sector. All of us shouldn't be in our own group, and we should actually cross groups and be really working together as a community to solve climate change.
Thank you. I think that really explains on how these big plans could be translated on the ground, which I feel like that's the biggest gap, because we have so many policies, so many documents, but the translation on the ground is what matters the most, and sometimes just not translated well. And on that note, I think we'll move to policy bigger picture question to Dr. Jong, because you mentioned at the very end of your presentation was on Paris Agreement. So how effective do you think Paris Agreement is in addressing climate change issues, especially in Malaysia? Are we on the right track? Because every year kita pergi COP, so are we on the right track in following the Paris Agreement?
Testing. All right, thank you for the question on policy. Paris Agreement is the new agenda for us, for all of us. We have the whole Paris Agreement in our left hand, tangan kiri, right? And the UN SDG in our right hand. UN SDG, United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. How many goals? 17. You have to hafal all the goals, no need. Just remember 17. 17, 17, right? So that is, on one hand, we have Paris Agreement, international obligation. And Malaysia has already ratified in 2016, we agreed to follow. So-called AKA, kita berjanji, aku berjanji, right? I agree, quote and unquote lah, because they ratify. So that is how they're going to implement it. So whatever policy, strategy, framework, you need to follow the Paris Agreement objective. And then, what is the direction we are moving? We are moving forward. We cannot go backward. Whether you agree or disagree, we are going forward. So the Paris Agreement support what document? There's another bigger document above the cloud. That's called UN SDG in your right hand. Now this one you must memorize because these are two major documents now. Whether at the university, right, at the private sector, SME, there are two documents that they have to do, that they have to follow every day and night. On your left hand, Paris Agreement. In your right hand, UN SDG. You cannot escape from these two, right? So you have to remember them when you go for interview, your research, and so on. And this is how we are going forward. In the fishery side, in the poor fishermen, fakir fishermen, miskin fishermen, all going that side. Right? In terms of coastal management as well, right, to help mitigate, adapt. This one, 100 theses can be written. In terms of tourism, right, are they following the Paris Agreement? Are they following the right hand, UN SDG? None. They just want to make money. Then what happened to our environment? Everyone want to make money, want to have ICT, right? What happened, right? But the good thing is, we are going forward. We are not going backward. And Malaysia is going forward based on the NDC document that submitted in 2016. And there are some challenges in terms of implementation, enforcement, and integration. So this, how to solve the problem? Any idea? No integration, because the document and strategy are all over the place, like a broken glass. Right? They're all over the place. Nobody knows what it is about. So in terms of integration, no integration. Nobody knows what they're doing. So how to solve the problem? The federal government and the state government, Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, all these coastal areas need to work together. Right? And reduce politic misunderstanding. They need to put all the politics aside and work on the coastal community, how we can help them. Less talk, more work. All right, thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Dr. Jong. I guess for the policy to manifest properly, everyone needs to play a role, and like you mentioned, right now it's a state matter, and every state need to work together, I guess, and also with the Malaysian government. So right, still on the bigger picture question, I think to Dr. Effie regarding, you mentioned about plan and strategy. Boleh tak nak tahu perbezaan tentang antara apa beza antara coastal management plan dengan coastal adaptation strategy? Sebab macam lebih kurang juga tu.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fatin. So actually, it quite the same, but our implement and our understanding is different. So basically, that previous a year ago, we try to understand about coastal management plan, include the mitigations, and then make it mitigation. Everything is mitigations. But now, when we make adaptation strategies, we need to understand a 360. For example, the biodiversity, the economy, how to sustain the culture, especially on coastal community, and then from the whole of that, how we can include the mitigation. Is it we mitigate the soft approach or the hard approach? So that's his way we try to engage to every kind of the department or the agency by the governments. So from that, we can understand more clearly how we can adapt. For example, now it's climate change. how we can adapt climate change. We cannot just put it, yeah, we want to solve this problem, we mitigate. This problem, mitigate. So we need to adapt first to understand the whole things of the issues. Okay, thank you.
Boleh tanya sikit tak apa beza soft dengan hard mitigation tadi?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, like I'm sure our project is effective fence. We use the fan from the woods. That is we call soft. That means it's not put the hard structure. For example, the rocks, the concrete, the seawall. So the soft like a beach nourishment, and then planting the coastal vegetation like the pokok ru, pokok kelapa, bamboo. This is soft. Soft tu macam yang soft, dia tenang tapi lambat. Hard ni dia settle sekarang tapi efek dia ada yang lain. Consistent.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And the last question for Dr. Abi on community-based ecotourism. Rasa-rasanya adakah ke masa hadapan ni ecotourism tu ialah something yang semua orang akan adopt atau macam mana in the future?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fatin. Okay, nowadays we always talking about some of the country talking about the community-based ecotourism (CBE). Sometimes we're talking about what we call is a community-based tourism. Sometimes we call the community-based development. There is for me is similar, but based on what we can differentiate is the industry that involved by the community. So what we need to know what actually the community-based ecotourism in the let's say in the marine tourism marine tourism. That's okay. Community-based development actually we develop something must be based on what are the resources that they have by the community. So here, community-based ecotourism, they develop the industry of ecotourism must be based by what they have by the community. It's not by the individual, but they must be working together. But they must work together in terms of they get in terms of resources. They work together. Sorry, they work together in terms of from the supply resources, and then in terms of this can get the resources from maybe from the financial. Yeah, maknanya dia bekerja sama dalam untuk mengumpulkan keuntungan yang secara bersama itu tadi. Dia bukan kepentingan kepada individu, tetapi dia kepentingan kepada satu masyarakat, satu community. So yang mana ianya memberi keuntungan kepada satu kepada industri, kepada satu, kalau kampung pada satu kampung. Actually community based industry we can see how successful in the Thailand. In Thailand is very success to practice the concept of community-based, either community-based ecotourism itself or maybe community-based industry. Last 5 years, I think I went to Chiang Mai, and then I do it for my study to study about the community-based industry. So I can see how they practice is very good in terms of community-based development. They work together. It's not just for the community, but how university also work together also. So there are most of the stakeholders actually from the university, from from the financial supplier. So government is not 100% membantu. They just empower to the community. That's what we can see how good the Thailand practice the concept of community-based ecotourism. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abi. Right. Yes, please.
I agree with Dr. Abi, and I have something relevant with that too, because I'm working on the fisheries and aquaculture sector, and I work closely with Kasetsat University as well. So one of the major difference between us and them is that because I work with crabs, so the fishermen and the fishermen and the aquaculturists there, they also have the same types of crab as we have. But then they noticed that their crabs are decreasing fast. But because their Department of Fisheries and their universities work very, very closely with their community. So when this happens, that problem become a research problem, and it translates very fast. So researchers work on that. They don't actually publish it, but then they directly solve the problems of the community. So the community now have their own crab banks, and they manage their own crab banks, and then they generate additional income from that. So we try to translate that to Malaysia, but then we are still trying to do that. But because there are a lot of things that our behaviors are different, our cultures are different, so we need to adapt as well. Like what Dr. Effie have said, a lot of things we cannot adopt 100%, but then we can learn from them. That is really good, because it shows that their different levels of governance are all interconnected, from the government side, the ministry, the academia, and also the industry, and also the society. So I think that is super important.
Right. Thank you so much for that insight. And because when we talk about governance, it's not just government, because community also have their own set of governance, how they govern as a community, right? So thank you so much. Anyone wants to add, or does anybody here would like to ask any question? No? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, right. I think that's all. Thank you so much for our panelists for this very enriching discussion. And I think it's very clear that the challenges to coastal communities who are facing climate change are very complex. Here we could see that we're talking about different aspects of climate change which are very, very different, and it's not just science. We've looked at communities, we've looked at policy, we've looked at governance, and we've looked at practical projects which are being done with community, right? So thank you so much, everybody that attended this session. I hope you have learned something, and also thank you so much for those who are tuning in online. And lastly, we like to thank Institute Oceanography dan Sekitaran INOS at UMT, and also Amanah Alam for organizing this event, and of course the National Climate Governance Summit 2024 for making this satellite event possible. So before we end, yes, do you have a question that you would like to ask? Or?
Not really, because you make your thumb down so fast.
Right. Yeah, feel free.
I think it's very important here that, because it's still a debate, climate change. IPCC itself, they will claim that it's a climate change, but they say there is a probability, it's a certain percentage. Right? So I think in the discussion of climate change, as important as it is, it's also very important to separate the science from popular ideas. Right? And number one. And number two is some of the issues that we look at happening in coastal community, happening in coastal erosion, all this kind of stuff, and impact on even local communities. Now, some of them I think we have to be very, very careful not to be too quick to associate them with climate change. Because climate change is a long term. Scientifically speaking, climate change is a linear scale event, right? There you have a centennial, decadal, that kind of thing, and there are a lot of other parameters in play. So for very short term, maybe in a couple of years, that effect, you can see that most of the time, you can really see the real problem is actually direct actions that people do in the coastal area. Whether certain construction work, certain how we develop our land, right? We have direct impact. For example, if you look at PCB, the erosion is very bad, right? Very bad. And of course, people can be very quick say that, oh, this is due to impact of climate change sea level rise. But the evidence shows that, right, before 1985, there was not a real problem. What happened in 1985? 1985, there was a breakwater refuel. Right now, after that, there's it. And anybody who know the coastal processes will know that there are such structures. That's why I think maybe we have to be careful not to be too quick to dump everything on climate change. Another example, 2014 flood event. That's another flood event. 2014 Kelantan flood event. Now it is a big event, right? Big event, Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, right? And in the Banjir Malaysia, there was a group set up Banjir Malaysia where 40 million ringgit was given to several universities, right, to do a study on what happened. Now, one of the things that people was really pointing to very quickly is that this is again climate change. However, when we look at the data, we look at the science, we realize that not really that. And one of the reasons is because floods, we said magnitude, not just say storms, storm event, you got magnitudes, right? Right. Usually, if you have a climate change effect, you see increase of magnitude, higher magnitude event, the frequency start to increase over a long period of time, right? The source and the system is changing. Now, in Kelantan case, we realized that certain people were too quick to jump to the climate change bandwagon. Then we look at the data set, that actually the 2014 event was not even the biggest event in history, right? In recorded history, by the way, right? The big event, slightly bigger than 2014, what happened in 1928, right? In 1928, but the event is even bigger, slightly bigger, right? So the issue is more complicated than that. One thing, right? More complicated than that. And sometimes, so it's not really issue of long-term changes. It's also the issue of climate variability. Right? So in the case of the Kelantan, Banjir Kelantan, you can see there is a climate variability where certain big events have quite a fixed frequency. Right? Quite fixed frequency. So it cannot be really too quick to relate to that. So I think there's nothing. And then of course another thing is also we have to look at deeper issues. Right? Deeper issues such as was raised up some years ago in the seminar, right? That our consumption behavior, right? Consumption behavior, oil and gas, or whatever we do, right? Our consumer behavior. How do we consume resources, right? Because the way we consume resources is why it leads to some depletion and environmental destruction and whatever we do, right? So the consumption. And what drives our consumption behavior? That's why I shared on this one before. Are we having economics of need, meeting needs, or economics of greed? Right? Right? Because it's a whole axiom in economics to say man has unlimited wants. right? But we just limited resources. So we have to look at that issue. Another issue that comes together with global climate change and all that stuff is actually the whole issue of population growth. There's one big issue. It's under United Nations issue of population growth. Because even let's say if you do all this adaptation, mitigation, the fact is with the increase of population, the consumption of resources will increase naturally. And they will come to a point, a tipping point. And in fact, they say in 1980 something, the number of population of planet Earth, we already use one planet worth of resources. And in order to sustain our current consumption, we need 2.5 planet Earth. Right? So I guess it's time to go to the moon, another planet. Right. So I guess my thoughts on this are
Right. Thank you for your insights. Any comments from our panel?
Data athlete, yeah? We can see actually in Malaysia, in peninsular Malaysia, the increased number of population that's become, we develop the new township. The new township that impact to they create to because of reclamation of for the new township. That will impact to the erosion. That will impact to the erosion. Actually, it's not in Kelantan, Terengganu, but also we can see in Johor, in Melaka also. Yeah, and then now is coming from Penang also. Yeah, so that will impact to the certain village. Yeah, certain village. Masjid kalau di Melaka dipanggil masjid. Apa tu ya, banyak menyebabkan erosion. Dulu semasa saya belajar di Bangi dulu, kalau pergi ke pantai masjid tanah, sedap je mandi. Jalan, yeah. But now today because of erosion, saya rasa dah berbeza dah. Yeah, because of there is maybe because of the number of population, and then because of the new village, the new township, because of the reclamation too. That's one of the that we must do it in terms of because of the one of the part of the climate change also.
Anyone else have any comments or questions maybe from the audience? No?
Yeah, just a few things. Yeah, I agree with Dr. Lee. Yeah, because sometimes in our mind, climate change. Sometimes our mind is urbanization. And then, which is the first one? Dia macam ayam dengan telur. Ayam ke telur? Telur ke ayam? Datang dulu. So, every time is quite not clear in our mind. But basically what happened that we can see now, we try to understand how to adapt first. We try to solve anything in one hand or in one times. But we need to understand the basic way, the data first. Like Dr. Adik said, I am agree. Betul ke climate change? Ke data set sebelum ni tunjuk ada lagi lebih worse. Tapi why now is more worsening? That is, kadang dia datang parallel together, kadang-kadang dia datang separate. But kita belajar masa sekolah dulu kan, we understand about macam mana nak increasekan how we can sustain our temperature. Tanam pokok. But how the tanam pokok ni boleh give the big impact? Rasanya masa musim COVID itu ramai tanam pokok, tapi panas juga duduk kat rumah tu kan. Pasang aircon 24 jam juga. So still lagi question mark. But anything we need to understand how we can adapt in current issue now. forget about the climate change, forget the urbanization, but how we can help our earth to be sustained.
Okay, anyone else? Any comments? Any other comments on the floor? No? Okay. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next slide. So please, is this the form? So I'll pass this to the MC now.
Okay. So before that, we have now reached the conclusion of today's program. So I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to all the panelists for their invaluable insights and contributions. And a special thanks also goes to all of you for your participation in today's discussion. So before we officially end the event, the organizers would like to present a token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists for sharing their knowledge and expertise. I would like to invite Dr. Safwan on stage, in front of the stage, to present the tokens. So first, we will begin with Associate Professor Dr. F. Helmi bin Arifin. Ah. Next, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Abi Sofian Abdul Halim. Next, Associate Professor Dr. Jiang Chun Fook. Associate Professor Dr. Fatin Izzati binti Minhad. Dr. Ko Wai Ho. Okay. Finally, our moderator for today, Ms. Nur Fatin Najiha Hamza, for her excellent moderation of today's discussion. Okay. Once again, my heartfelt thanks to all the panelists and attendees. I sincerely hope that the discussions today will serve as a starting point for more concrete actions in our collective efforts to address the challenges of climate change. Before I draw the event to a close, I kindly ask all attendees to scan the QR code for attendance and to receive your e-certificate of participation. With that, I officially declare that the panel discussion of the National Climate Governance Summit 2024 closed. Thank you and please enjoy your lunch.
Bawah.
Aku tanya. Attention please. So our lunch will be at the building, at the parking lot in front here, where you will see all the tables and all the chairs. Okay?